Remember our memory verse? Hebrews 11:10. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Welcome back to a glimpse at His Story, an investigative look into ancient history in God's Word. Today we're going to be in session 8, which is evidence number 6, and we're going to be studying Polystrate Tree Fossils, and we're going to look at some sea creatures on top of mountains and see how God left us evidence all over our world that proves His Word is true, that the flood actually happened and it was global. Uniformitarian theory is taught in most classrooms across our nation. It's a name given to the idea that natural processes behave more or less in the same way today as they have throughout the past and will continue to do so in the future. It's based on observational science. It's like taking a look at the Grand Canyon and seeing that a single strata takes thousands of years to form. But it doesn't take into account that God is a supernatural God and can send a catastrophe to change everything. Lyell and Hutton are the ones that introduced the idea known as uniformitarian theory. The idea of millions of years did not even originate until the 18th and 19th centuries, meaning that it's a fairly new idea. Historical, biblical, and scientific sources prove this theory is incorrect. Let me remind you from session 2 of how other ancient cultures dated creation. We have nowhere near millions of years. Again from session 2 and using the biblical chronology from Genesis chapters 5 and 11, we can map out 2,000 years roughly from creation to Abraham, 2,000 years from Abraham to Jesus, which gives us a creation at around 4,000 BC. That aligns with what we have seen from the historical sources. Now if we add in another 2,000 years, we have a 6,000-year-old Earth. One of the major events that some of you might remember that disproves the uniformitarian theory actually happened when Mount St. Helens erupted in the early 1980s. Did you know that strata up to 400 feet thick were formed, and some deposits accumulated up to 25 feet thick per day? A polystrate tree fossil is a fossil of a single organism such as a tree trunk that extends through more than one geological stratum. These are found all over our world and almost on every single continent. Sure, a local flood can explain polystrate tree fossils forming under the right conditions, but it's only through a global flood that we're going to find them all over the globe, and that's exactly what we find. Secular scientists would cite the fact that multiple strata would be deposited slowly over millions of years. Clearly, these trees did not take millions of years to become encased in this sediment, and this proves again the biblical account. The image on your screen is a polystrate tree fossil in shale. If we use the uniformitarian theory, that's thousands of years worth of sediment right there. Alongside polystrate tree fossils are petrified forests, and they're found on nearly every continent on Earth. The image on your screen is one that's actually found in Bulgaria. It's called the Stone Desert. Again, they're all over the world, and that's exactly what we would see from a global flood. Another interesting fact is found in the red wall limestone layer of the Grand Canyon. Did you know that there are billions of nautical fossils that are found in that layer? Now that layer forms a 550-foot cliff, and it persists through the length of the Grand Canyon, snaking in and out, and it stretches for hundreds of miles. Another proof of a global flood is found at Mount Everest. Did you know that marine fossils have been found near the summit? Even hikers have brought back fossils of sea lilies from that elevation. That's at 29,029 feet, where the average temperature is -2 degrees. It can even drop to -76 degrees. Nothing can survive that temperature. From the facts that we've went over in this study, what about the water? Is there even enough water to have a global flood? Sure there is. Did you know if we bring the basins up and the mountains down, there would be enough water on Earth to cover the Earth by 1.6 miles deep? So a worldwide flood is possible. In the book Exploring Genesis, John Phillips states, the amount of vapor continually suspended in the air above us is estimated at 54 trillion, 460 billion tons. The annual precipitation in the form of rain or snow that falls upon the earth is equivalent to 156,000 cubic miles, enough water to cover the entire earth to a depth of 3 feet. Genesis 7:19-20. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward the waters prevailed, and the mountains were covered. We can take God at His word, and there's proof all over our world, from the petrified forests to the Polystrate tree fossils, even from sea creatures on top of mountains. God's word is true.